So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I welcome all of you to His Holiness Chandramauli Swami daily class. And today Maharaj will continue on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Verse 11. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Haribo, glories to Prabhupada, my obeisances to all the devotees. Hare Krishna.
So, with your permission, Maharaj, we'll share the screen.
Continue. Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj. Over to you, please.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Padarsaya tapta tapasam avitriptam drisam nirnam adayantar aham yastu swabimbam lokalochanam. Lord Krishna, who manifests his eternal form before the vision of all on earth, performed his disappearance by removing his form from the sight of those who were unable to see him as he is due to not executing required penance. In this verse, the word vitripta dusham is most significant. The conditioned souls in the material world are all trying to satisfy their senses in various ways, but they have failed to do so because it's impossible to be satisfied by such efforts. The example of a fish on land is very appropriate. If one takes a fish from the water and puts it on the land, it cannot be made happy by any amount of offered pleasure. The spirit soul can be happy only in the association with the Supreme Living Being, the personality of Godhead, and nowhere else. The Lord, by his unlimited causeless mercy, has innumerable Vaikuntha planets in the Brahmajyota sphere of the spiritual world. And in that transcendental world, there's an unlimited arrangement for the unlimited pleasure of the living entities. It says in that spiritual world, there is an unlimited arrangement for the unlimited pleasure of the living entities. The Lord himself comes to display his transcendental pastimes, typically represented at Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka. He appears just to attract the conditioned souls back to Godhead, back home to the eternal world. Or for want of sufficient piety, the onlookers are not attracted by such pastimes of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that only those who have completely surpassed the way of sinful reaction can engage themselves in the loving transcendental service of the Lord. The entire Vedic way of ritualistic performance is to put every conditional soul on the path of piety. By strict adherence to the prescribed principles of all elements of life, one contains the qualities of truthfulness, control of the mind, control of the senses, forbearance, etc. And one can be elevated to the plane of rendering pure devotional service to the Lord. Only by such transcendental vision are one's material hankerings fully satisfied. When the Lord was present, persons who were able to satisfy their material hankerings by seeing him in true perspective were thus able to go back with him to his kingdom. But those persons who are unable to see the Lord as he is remained attached to material hankerings and were not able to go back home, back to Godhead. When the Lord passed beyond the vision of all, he did so in his original eternal form as stated in this verse. The Lord left in his own body. He did not leave his body as is generally misunderstood by the conditioned souls. This statement defeats the false propaganda of the faithless non-devotees that the Lord passed away like an ordinary conditioned soul. The Lord appeared in order to release the world from undue burden of the non-believing asuras And after doing this, he disappeared from the world's eyes. Om agyan timirandasya ganajana salakaya chaksu militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Staptitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swam Padantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Nami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Pasyatyat Esatarine Anshakalpatarubhischa kripa sindhubheva itaram bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Lord states in the Bhagavad Gita why he comes to this material world. 3 reasons he gives in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita: to remove irreligion from the world when it becomes quite heavy. In other words, when the world becomes very heavy with sinful activities. To remove those who are the cause of these sinful activities, that is the demoniac class people, and to reestablish religious principles. And the last is to give pleasure and uplift his devotees. So giving pleasure and uplift of devotees is means to reestablish the Dharma in such a way as that those persons who are practicing Krishna consciousness can now practice Krishna consciousness in his association. And having that association purifies one from material desires, material attachments, and qualifies one to return back to the spiritual world. Here it says the business of the Lord is to put everyone on the path of piety. Piety is still within the range of material existence because we have what is called pious activities and impious activities. Impious activities are performed by men with personal motivations for sense gratification and to gain some position in the material world so they can further their sense gratification. Pious activities are performed by people who see the importance of doing good to others as a principle of human life, which is one of the main principles, to perform activities which will benefit others. And then we have a whole list that we could speak of. Distributing food to people who are needy, opening hospitals, distributing clothing, giving education, various types of philanthropic and welfare work that go on. And these categorize in the higher states of material existence in the mode of goodness. But they're still in the material world, and unless those persons who are pious come to the stage of devotion, they also have to retake earth in the material world, maybe in a good situation, but still, material good state. But still, what does that mean? That means that they are also, again, subjected to the sufferings of material energy. Birth, death, disease, and old age are built-in anomalies into this material world just to inspire the living entities to get out of this place. It's one of the ways that Lord shows his mercy to the conditioned souls by not allowing them to enjoy in this material world. So in the midst of that so-called effort for enjoyment, there is so much suffering that comes by way. And so the Lord wants to uplift those, but those who are what we say, avaricious, who are focused on developing their life around sense gratification and economic development, those persons, even though if they see Krishna, they still cannot appreciate his appearance. Therefore, it says here, he left in his self-same body. The Lord's body is him. We have a body, but we are not the body. We are the soul that exists within the body. And when the body dies, the soul goes on to its next destination according to how it lives its life in this world. But when Krishna decides to come to this world, he comes in his transcendental form. He performs activities in his transcendental form. In other words, he doesn't touch the material energy, although from the perspective of those who have limited vision, it appears he's like one of the conditioned souls, but he's not. It's just like the example is given, just like a governor will come into a prison house to inspect the prison house, maybe to meet some of the inmates. And if the inmates think, well, the governor's in the prison house, he's one of us, then that is their ignorance. The governor comes in, but he also leaves whenever he wants to leave. So in the same way, Krishna comes to perform his activities. And when his activities are performed, in other words, he has a mission. What is his mission? To reestablish Dharma when Dharma is affected by irreligion's activities. And then when his mission is done, he leaves in the self-same body that he appears in. He doesn't change his body because his body and him are of the same nature. He's spiritual and his body is spiritual. And spiritual is not transferable. It is absolute. Spirit doesn't become spirit, nor does it lose its spiritual qualities. It exists in its own pure existence. So when Krishna goes back, he takes the same body that he appears in back to the spiritual world. But people think differently, and therefore that is their ignorance. And therefore, they can't understand the Lord, nor can they understand the purpose of why the Lord came to the material world, nor can they take benefit from his coming to the material world, or they still can't take any benefit at all because they have no desire to serve the Lord. So it says here, he removed himself from the sight from those who are unable to see him. And then it gives the reason, due to their not executing required penance. Penance means, it's similar to the word austerity. And there has to be some adopted restrictions in order to free oneself from material attachments and material influences and to execute devotional service, just like we ask our followers to follow 4 restrictions. No illicit sex, that means only in marriage for children. No intoxication, that means no tea, no coffee, nothing that is of the nature of intoxication, even caffeine and various other substances that are being sold as forms of, sense gratification. And of course, no drugs, no alcohol. Prescription drugs are allowed, but they're allowed only according to the doctor's prescription. Even people get addicted to prescription drugs and find themselves forced to take these drugs, just like I was one of my students in my class just recently. He was telling me that for eliminating, for passing stool, there's a drug that enhances that. And people take it here in India, especially. It's here. He didn't give me the name of the drug, and it works. But then people get addicted to that, and then they keep taking it, and then then they cannot eliminate unless they have the drug. The drug makes them dependent like that. So that's unnatural. If one follows the proper hygiene, one can take care of their body accordingly. But when one doesn't, or due to some circumstance, one resorts to things to help. And then these things fall into the category of health remedies, but a lot of times they cause attachment and addiction because they use drugs in these different medications to facilitate the activities of the medication. And so that's another form. Then that's intoxication. Then there is no meat eating. That means no eating meat, fish, or eggs, because it's on the platform of compassion. In order for people to eat these things, they have to kill. They don't kill, but they sanction others to kill for them, and therefore they also have to suffer the results of taking another's life in order to supposedly, we use that word, supposedly find some pleasure in eating, this slaughtered flesh. And then the last one is no gambling, and no trying to gain something for nothing. Everyone is destined according to their karma, and your happiness and your distress is already there with your body. When you're born, you're allowed for so much material happiness and so much material distress. That's there according to your karma. Karma is changeable, but it's also erasable by the process of practicing bhakti yoga or Krishna consciousness. But if people stay within the material tabernacle and perform material activities, they build karma, and then they have to get the results of their karma, and that the result manifests in either something that is pleasing, something that is unpleasing, or something that is a combination of both. And so then, therefore, no one can be actually happy because they cannot actually bring their happiness out by material activities. Happiness, it says here, is on the spiritual platform in relationship to Krishna in devotional service. So this idea of no gambling means to know not trying to increase your material happiness through various types of activities, such as, trying to gain some position through playing different games. Sometimes we say watching television is also breaking the regulative principles, because you'll see on television they propagate illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling in the advertisements or even in the actual shows that they post on the media. So we also tell people during the initiation ceremony not to watch karmi television. You can watch spiritual television or Krishna conscious television, but not television coming from the outside world, which is full of sinful activity. And so these are the regulative principles. So these restrictions are what is called penance. And therefore, people who are not sufficiently adopted penance, they cannot understand, because they're still led away by their mind and senses into the realm of suffering and enjoying the material world. Happiness and distress, happiness and distress. So that's all on the bodily platform. Krishna consciousness gives you restrictions and penances. Why? To get you off the bodily platform and put you on the spiritual platform, where happiness and distress is not a factor. Devotional service is by nature susukam kartam avyayam. It's always joyful because it is the nature of the soul's activity in relationship to the Supreme Soul, in this case, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, that kind of happiness is, as it says, is twanantum. That means it is eternal. It is not dependent on material situations. It comes automatically as one engages in devotional service to the Lord. Nayam deho deho bhajan nirloke kastan kama arti vid bhujanje tapo divyam putra kadyena sattvam what was it? Ananta twa Yusman Agyan Ananta Brahma Saukyam. So Brahma Saukyam means happiness. Sukham or Sokyam means happiness. Brahman means spiritual, is Anantam. It is eternal. It is not dependent on any material arrangements. And it comes by way of the connection with the Supreme Lord in devotion. Okay, so this is a little bit about the process here. So what is being said here, even though Krishna appears, performs his activity, people cannot recognize him, nor do they have the adhikari, or that means they don't have the qualifications for understanding Krishna. And therefore, they see him they put him in the category of ordinary conditioned souls. And they say that when he left the world, he was shot in the foot by a hunter and he died that way. But that is ridiculous. Krishna did that just to bewilder the non-devotees, to leave their ignorance intact. And so people say, well, but nobody dies just by being shot in the foot with an arrow. But that's how Krishna used his escape route in this material world. And then he left. So people say, oh, he was killed. But God is never killed because God is eternal and he is never born. You're never killed and you're never born either because you are also eternal. But we have adopted this material body, which is subject to the time factor. And therefore, birth, death, and all of the in-between developments are all based on the body's transformation in different stages. But you, the soul, is the witness of all this. That's what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that dehinosmin yata dehe kovaram yovaram jara tata dehantara prapir dhiras tatam namuyanti. That the conditioned soul traverses from boyhood to youthhood to old age, and then it goes into another body at death. After death, the self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. One can see, my body's going through different stages, but I am the same person. I'm witnessing the stages, but the stages are not happening to me, they're happening to my body. But those who identify themselves with the body identify with the suffering enjoyment that comes with the body, and therefore they cannot understand what is transcendence because they live in the conditioned idea that what happens to the body happens to me. But that's not true because you are different from your body. Although you live in it, it's like you have a car and you take care of your car very nicely, gets you to go places. So this body is meant to be used to get us out of this material world and back to the spiritual world by engaging it in service to the Supreme Lord. But what happens to the car doesn't happen to the driver. What happens to the body doesn't happen to the soul. Although it appears to be, that is simply our ignorance due to bodily attachment. Yeah. That's why Krishna, in the very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, he spends at least 25, 30 verses just speaking the difference between what is eternal and what is temporary, what is the soul and what is the body, what is matter and what is spirit. three ways to describe the distinctions between spirit and matter. But we are not, as Krishna is eternal, we are also eternal. We also don't die. We also don't take birth. We just come into the body and leave the body at different times. So that soul is you. So knowledge of the soul means knowledge of yourself and your relationship with everything else. Therefore, this knowledge coming from the Shastras and from Guru, from Krishna, that knowledge helps us to identify ourselves and to remove ourselves from this movement of the material energy, which is suffering and enjoying under different circumstances. And then ultimately ending in death. Okay, so let's stop here and see what we can discuss.
Thank you, Maharaj, for highlighting the importance and why we should not be involved in these four, or why should we focus on four regulative principles and focus on Lord's Bhakti. Uh, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, if you have any questions, comments, realization, please raise your hand. Or if you can't speak, then you can type in chat window and I will try to read on your behalf. Also, my humble request, if you can please switch on your video. Uh, that will be a nice way to interact with Maharaj and all other devotees.
Yeah, it's nice to see everyone. Otherwise, we just see names and we're not sure who you are anyway. Sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. Okay, we're not doing so good. We only got 10 people.
Yeah, we have 31 devotees online, so we'll request if at least 30 can switch on the video, if not 31st, 31st.
I'm there. I'm trying to let you know I'm a person, not just a voice.
Okay, so yeah, so there is one question on the chat while devotees gears up for raising any further questions. Maharaj, there is question from Gaurav Prabhu, Gaurav Anand Prabhu. He's saying, this was my question always. Krishna did the Mausal Leela to bewilder the non-devotees and just as a medium to close his Leela. So
Yeah,
my question is it that like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna disappeared, like today he was there and tomorrow he disappeared without a trace? Or because he enacted the Mausal Leela, the death pastime, not the disappearance, despite the transcendental appearance, was there something like a funeral or something? The question arises only because he enacted the Mausal Leela, he, because he did not disappear and so called died.
there was no formal, what we say, disappearance ceremony. You can see there's a picture. Where I don't know if there's a painting that's drawn. It's a real nice painting. You know that painting, Sri Devi he's flying up in the air, and then there's the demigods, and they're all around him, and he's moving up away from the material world. It's just a way to indicate he's left in the self same body. I don't know where that
No, Guru
photo.
Maharaj, I'm not aware of this.
It's a nice painting. It's really illustrates. But there was no funeral, there was no disappearance rites. He just took off. Krishna's cool. He does whatever he wants when he wants. And either you have to figure it out or you remain in ignorance. Krishna's not part of this world. So he comes in and out at his own free will. But he's always here by his energies at the same time. That's another factor. Okay.
I hope it answers Gaurav Prabhu.
Who asked that question?
Gaurav Anand Prabhu.
Okay, let's take some hands now.
Yeah. Sridevi Mataji, please go ahead. You are on mute, Mataji.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Oh, thank you. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to you. As we are reading this particular purport, we are seeing that in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is writing that those who really saw Krishna fulfilled all their material hankerings also. So Krishna fulfilled their desires, whatever, whether they were spiritual or material. But those who are in the pure platform have no material desires. So what are these material hankerings we are talking about over here? That's my question.
Yeah,
And
there's
one
two.
sentence before that is also a little puzzling to me.
All right, let's get to that later. That's one thing at a
Yeah, in the
time.
purport, just at the
One,
end of the first paragraph.
one thing at a time while you slow down.
Sorry.
Okay, so there's two ways of getting rid of material desires or satisfying material desires. Two ways. One, you fulfill it, and another one is you, when we say overcome it, you replace it with something better. So that's what it means in that case. So they had their material hankerings went away when they came in contact with Krishna. It's not that he fulfilled their material hankerings. Material hankerings were fulfilled automatically by something, by his presence. That's all. Because when you meet Krishna, all of your desires are filled perfectly, eternally. You don't have, there's nothing left to aspire for. Krishna is the supreme object of all activities. And when we connect with Krishna in devotional service, there is satisfaction, there is knowledge, and there's freedom from material suffering. Happens automatically, just like when you eat, you get nourishment, you get enjoyment from the food's taste, and you also satisfy your hunger.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much. I have listened.
Okay, what was the second part of your question now?
It got answered in your answer, Guru Maharaj. You clarified everything.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, okay. Let's take Manisha,
Thank.
and then we
Yeah.
have after Manisha, we have Anjali, who's sitting in the room here.
Sure, Maharaj. Manisha Mataji, please go ahead.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and you. Guru Maharaj, my question is, what is the right mood when a devotee criticizes you or insults you? How should we handle the situation and how should we react at that moment?
We should say, well, actually, your criticism is falling short. Really, I'm much worse than what you actually say. So just give me a little time and I'll explain all about myself, and then you can add to your list of criticisms, and then it'll be complete. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I've seen devotees do that, and then all of a sudden everybody gets bewildered. They don't know what to do. Yeah, I mean, we do that, yeah. Srivas Thakur was criticized unnecessarily by someone who set him up for a false activity. They wanted to destroy his reputation. So when he was exposed, he said, "Oh, and now you know how I really are." But no one believed it. So you can do that. Yeah, it works nicely.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for that. I have another question. Can I ask?
I don't know if you like that answer or not.
I really like this answer. Yeah, I can say that in return.
Say it with complete conviction and not just some half-hearted statement, you know.
Yeah.
You don't even know me. I'm worse than what you think I am.
Yes, I am.
And you could say, if you don't believe me, you can talk to some of the people who know me. And they'll give
Yes.
you
Yes, I'm totally agree. I'm worse than this. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Thank you for giving me some recognition.
Thank you, Mataji.
What does it say?
I have.
What does it say in the scriptures? Let's see. Praise and blame are only the same but different in name. Praise and blame are just the same, only different in name.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we just want to divert to Anjali here. She's got a question.
Yes, Maharaj, please.
Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. Guru Maharaj, while you were answering the question of Sridevi Mataji about how material hankering goes away when we actually see Krishna, I was reading the story of Dhruv Maharaj, and I think that's what happened with him. He came, but then Guru Maharaj in that book it is also written that Krishna gave him benediction to rule also. So he also fulfilled that desire. Why did he do that? He should have taken Guru Maharaj immediately.
Because he was pleased with his devotion. After Dhruva saw the Lord, he offered beautiful prayers to the Lord, and he was criticizing himself for approaching the Lord for some material benefit. And the Lord was pleased, and so he gave it to him anyway. So Krishna, that's up to Krishna, he can do that. He was pleased. But that wasn't a small gift he gave him. He gave him the pole star, which is his own planet in the spiritual world, in the material world, So the question was, she's asking, why did Dhruva Maharaj receive his desire after he saw the Lord and gave up that desire? Well, the Lord was pleased by his bhakti, by his prayers, everything. And so he just fulfilled he gave him that benediction that he gave up. Sometimes that happens. You practice Krishna consciousness and you're trying to fulfill some material desire, but then because you get a taste of Krishna consciousness that gives you greater happiness, you think, oh, that material desire is so useless, I don't even want it. And then Krishna gives it to you anyway.
Isn't that punishment, Guru Maharaj?
No, it's not a punishment. Because then the devotee uses that benediction to serve the Lord. They don't use it for his private interest. He was after revenge against his stepmother, but then when he achieved what he was actually looking for through the mercy of the Lord, he served the Lord with that. It was no longer his reason for trying to attain that. Yeah. Transformed his consciousness also.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on. Vrindavanath, you're on mute. Oh, that's the picture, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you make it bigger?
I'm just trying to. Just give me.
You can see that's Krishna floating up, and
Yeah.
there's the gods in the different heavenly realms.
Sridevi Mataji also have shared one. I will just click on that. Just maybe if that's.
Yeah, it's a nice picture.
There's another one. This is another one which Sridevi Mataji has shared.
Mhm. Yeah, you can even see Lord Shiva in the background there.
Yeah.
The Lord is passing through the heavenly realm.
Yeah. Gaurav Prabhu, you have raised your hand. So, do you have any question? Can you speak a bit loudly, Prabhu? Uh, your voice is very feeble.
Hear me now? I think it's my network.
Slightly better. I hope Maharaj can hear.
It's a little low.
Maharaj, comes now. Are you able to hear me? There you go.
Yes, Prabhu, but your voice is still very, very low.
Let me rejoin.
Sure, sure. By that time, Saudi Mataji, please go ahead.
Anand, turn off your camera and ask the question. Where's Anand? Is he still there?
He is rejoining Maharaj. He said he will rejoin.
Yeah, just turn off your camera. Now ask the question. Don't come on with your camera.
Yeah.
Better now?
So, yes, Gaurav Anand Prabhu, maybe if you want to give it a try. Yeah.
No. Am I audible now? Is it better
Yes,
now?
yes, much better.
Oh, okay. Sorry, then you were on my speaker. Okay. So my question is, I think there's a network issue as well, so I might just keep my camera off, like Guru Maharaj said. My question was related to the earlier question, the question asked earlier, Guru Maharaj. So if there is a criticism, should we not try to justify ourselves? Because, professionally also they can, I understand if Vaishnavas criticize, but even there, I don't know, maybe my heart is not getting satisfied. But my thing is, how do we, suppose, we think we're right, and, we think certain circumstances probably not understood the way they had to be understood. So is it not right, Guru Maharaj, to explain ourselves and probably try to, kind of show things in a very transparent way that this is the way it was intended to be and this is the way it was done, but due to A, B, and C, things could not happen. These things actually come up more often in our professional lives, when they play blame games in the office. And it is a requirement to explain, but I don't know, Guru Maharaj, if I can, if you can.
Well, you're working with material people, you're always subject to these things. So that's the way it is. That's the material world. People are envious of each other. If you're good at your occupation, there's people who are envious of your success. And you may be envious of someone else's success. And then people try to tear each other down in a very direct or indirect way. That's the material world's full of envy. That's the nature of the material world. Everyone is envious of everyone else in one form or another. So, yeah, if you want to speak something to ameliorate the difficulties, then you can do that. But we don't worry so much what people say about us. We just go on with our work. We use the phrase, the dogs will bark, but the caravan moves on. So we know our business. Our business is to practice Krishna consciousness and try to inspire others to do the same. And whoever people may criticize from different reasons. We should make sure that we are above criticism and not act in the way that we are acting wrongly. We should behave. The behavior of the Vaishnava is the ornament of the Vaishnava. The devotee is understood by their behavior. But even when the behavior is ideal, there'll always be enemies. There'll always be criticism. The world is full of it, goes on every day. But in the circle of devotees, when that happens, then you try to ameliorate the situation by talking it out in a very clear way, in a humble way, not in a defensive way, but in a humble way. I mean, it's how you respond to a situation which makes it, what we say, easier or difficult to bring about a successful conclusion. If you get angry, then you just exasperate the whole situation, and then you wind up breaking anyway. So there's different ways. I mean, these are subject matters for seminars. We give seminars on this, learning how to forgive people who attack us for one reason or another.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, yeah. Yes.
But now you're in the material world working with people who are, motivated by material gain. So there's always going to be competition there. That's the nature of the material world, is competition. And material world is always competition. People compete on all levels.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Sometimes it gets nasty too. Gaur Gopal in one of his books wrote how this one man, he was a member of one corporation, and he had developed some skills that were helping the corporation make much more amounts of profit. And he was really good at it, and he was getting many promotions, he was getting raises. But his fellow co-workers became envious of his success. So one day, when he wasn't in his office, they snuck in and they destroyed all of his material. Yeah, sounds familiar. But in Krishna consciousness, sometimes we have some disagreement, but we can settle it in a Krishna conscious way.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, I can completely relate to this. Yes. It happened with me as well in 2024 when I had to leave England then, but yes, Guru Maharaj, I can completely understand this. Thank you so much for your answer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Guru Maharaj.
Prabhu.
Vrindavan,
Sadhi Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for today. There's something here that I don't really understand if it means the way I believe I understand it. It says the Lord appears in order to release the world from the undue burden of the non-believers, asura. Does that mean even, for instance, me before I learn about Krishna consciousness, or no?
the
Thank
word
you.
asura. Asura is a very specific terminology of those who work against religious principles. They're atheists, they're non-devotees, they're very hardcore materialists.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks, Mataji. Uh, Shridevi Mataji. So maybe, Maharaj, is there any other question in the room?
Yeah, we have a question from Teja. He has a question.
You are explaining about praise and
Blame.
can you elaborate with an example or something how it is the same?
Yeah, because it's based on the body. It's not, it has nothing to do with you. The soul is pure. The soul doesn't gain anything by getting praised, nor does it lose anything by becoming criticized or blamed. But that's all centered around the mind and body. Mhm. So one can see, oh, there's praise, that's very nice. There's blame, okay. Has nothing to do with me. And that's somebody's opinion anyway. You just move on. You don't pay attention to either one. Because if you accept praise, you can become proud. And if you get disturbed by blame, then you can become angry. And then you may also retaliate, and that will cause some kind of sinful activity. People may, in certain cases where religious principles are the topic, if you're trying to respond or defend religious principles and others are criticizing, then you have to speak out for the benefit of others and for the benefit of the criticizer. Everything takes a little intelligence and discrimination, but we are guided by religious principles, and then how you use them in each case may vary from situation to situation. Okay. Back to you, Rinda.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, there is one very similar question from Rishabh Prabhu on the chat. If it's okay with you, I will just go ahead with that first. He's saying, I heard that preacher needs to protect his reputation, even in a devotee circle of false accusations, because he will not be able to perform his service as a preacher otherwise. No one will take him seriously anymore. What are your thoughts on it, Gurudev?
Usually, those who are his followers are the ones that protect him. Mhm. They should come forward and speak and defeat the challengers. But in some cases, you might say something that what you're saying is not true, and then he proves it by evidence. It's not a matter of defending yourself, it's a matter of giving the correct understanding. But if he's criticized and they're right, then he has to somehow change his activities and come up to the standard, and then he can continue on with his preaching.
Yeah, he's saying very nice, Gurudev. So that's good.
Yeah.
There is one more question on chat, Maharaj. There are two hands right now raised in the. So should I go first with the chat or should I go with the?
I am simply one of the audiences, that's all.
So maybe Shri Mataji, is that okay? First I go with Revati Mataji question, if that's okay, or if something related to the same topic, then maybe.
To be the
Okay.
Zoom host means you have to know what to do every minute.
Yeah. So Revati Mataji, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Hi Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. My question is about piety. Like being pious means like we are not into self gratification. We always think for the welfare of the others. And want to understand, like, we also have devotion, passion, and ignorance. So people who are pious, do they also have devotion? Like, how do, like, we categorize, how do we differentiate between
How do we differentiate between?
devotion in ignorance and piety?
By the symptoms.
Mhm.
Bhagavatam gives that devotional service in ignorance, devotional service in passion, devotional service in goodness, and then pure devotional service.
So if people, if they are pious, they are not into devotional service, and also people who are doing devotional service, but they are in ignorance. So when it comes to association, so whom we should
In ignorance, they're acting in ignorance. And they're acting in devotional service, but they're adding elements of ignorance into it. That's what it means.
Mhm.
And that gives it the connotation of ignorance. Just like, all right, I'm doing devotional service, but I want to gain some money from my devotional service. So let me get some position where I can handle the finances and I can, you know, give myself a little pay raise. And,
Mm.
or, I don't like this person. He's my superior. He gives me a lot of trouble. So I'm going to get a position superior to him so I can just not listen to him anymore. So these are all personal motivations, and they're not in. They have the quality of the different modes, but they're not in the modes. You see the difference? Even a devotee sometimes who is on a transcendental platform will do something that is not devotional service. They may do something wrong. They may even commit a sinful activity, but that doesn't mean that they're in that mode. They were just affected by that mode, because the mode can affect you. The mode of passion can affect you. The mode of ignorance can affect you. The mode of goodness can affect you.
Okay, Guru Maharaj. So, but people who are pious and there's no devotion.
Well, then they're in the mode of goodness. That's all.
Mhm. So their association is okay.
No. Associate with devotees, because their mode of goodness will take you to doing or thinking about the benefit of welfare activities as being superior to devotional service. Oh, you guys, what do you guys do? You just worship in the temple, but we're feeding the poor, we're opening hospitals, we're saving people from their suffering. So, so they put themselves in a superior position.
Mhm.
But devotional service is the nature of the soul's relationship with the Supreme Lord. And therefore, it's the highest form of welfare activity for everyone, anyone, at all times. Savai pumso parong dalmo, yito bhakti ahok sajay, oitaki priyata, yayatma supersediti.
Very much, yeah. I,
Is transcendental to the modes. That means it's above the modes. That means it is qualitatively superior to anything material.
yes, Guru Maharaj, yeah. I got it, yeah.
People in the mode of goodness will argue with you.
Mm.
You get it all the time. They'll say, well, why are you doing devotion? What are you doing to help people? Well, we're giving them knowledge, and that knowledge they can use to change their life and free themselves from all of their suffering and come to their actual standard of what is the purpose of life, to open our relationship with Krishna. They don't give that. That's not part of the modes. That's transcendental to the modes. But if they do welfare work, they think, oh, that's the highest.
So they also have pride in their heart.
Hmm?
So they also have pride in their heart. And
They want to be known as a person who does good to others. They look for some reciprocation. Oh, I've helped so many people. If you don't acknowledge what they do, they may also feel a little slighted and become less enthusiastic. And everyone in the material world has material desires. That's what material activity means. I have material desires. I'm trying to achieve something on a personal level from the activities I perform. Krishna consciousness means I'm trying to awaken my love for Krishna through the activities of devotional service, which are to please Krishna by my activities. So my benefit is actually greater, but at the same time, my motivation is free from anything personal. You gain everything on devotional service, but at the same time, you don't look for anything because it's Krishna who gives you everything through the power of your devotional service. You become happy, you become peaceful, you become full of knowledge, you become kind towards others. All of these things are characteristics of the awakening of devotional service. Some of these characteristics are also there in people in the material world, but they're motivated by personal interest. We call them, what is it? The modern day moralist. Modern day moralists. They think moral and morality and pious activities are the highest form of human culture, and therefore they become proud of it also. There's so many people like that. They're nice people, but still they're stuck in the modes of material nature. They still have to take another birth because they're still motivated by personal interest.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, yeah.
And there's even people who will sacrifice their life just to become popular. Yeah, in fact, this idea for personal aggrandizement, fame, and prestige is so strong that people will sacrifice their life just to become famous.
Yes. Yes, Guru. Thank you. I got it. Yeah, but devotion in ignorance is also not good, right? Devotion in ignorance is also not good, right, Guru Maharaj? We should. Devotion in ignorance is also not good, right, Guru Maharaj? We should.
Are you asking that question, or are you just telling me the answer?
Yeah, like sometimes, like when I come across devotees in ignorance, I feel like that, So.
Well, you shouldn't worry about that because they're engaged in devotional service. Apichet Sudaracharo, Bhajate and Ananya Bhak Sadareva Samanta Vyavya Samito Hisa. That even if one who's engaged in devotional service commits an abominable act, because he's engaged in devotional service, he's still considered saintly. You shouldn't let that act affect you, but at the same time, you shouldn't find fault with that person either.
Got it, Guru Maharaj. Yeah.
It's rare that somebody comes to devotional service. It's not the common thing, very rare, because people are so attached to this world that they can't give it up. Very rare that people come to devotional service. Fortunately, Lord Chaitanya made it easier, and because of that, more people are coming. But it wasn't for his mercy, it would be, you wouldn't find hardly anyone coming.
Mm.
He made it easy. Chant Hare Krishna.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yeah, thank you, sir. Very rare opportunity.
And
Yeah, and
people Krishna consciousness because they want to fulfill their desires for material happiness also. That's all right. Let them come. They can come for whatever reason they come. But then again, they should also learn what is the actual purpose of devotional service.
Mhm.
So if you're around people who are devotees and they're exhibiting certain material qualities, that means they're in the shower, but they're not completely clean yet.
Mm. So, but still, there is an element of devotion, so we should still like get their association too.
You should give association instead of looking for association. Association comes with advanced devotees. That's where you get association. You can be friends with people on an equal level, then that's nice, and share Krishna consciousness together. But if you want to make progress in your Krishna consciousness, you have to associate with people who are more advanced than you. Hear from them, look for opportunities to serve them also.
Mm.
That's mentioned. What is it? Sarvasanga, Sarvasanga, Sarvasastri Hoy. Lavamatta Sarvasange, Sarvasiddhi Hoy. One moment's association with a pure devotee can free you from all of the reactions of all sinful activities you've ever committed in all of your lifetimes. That's how powerful their association is. Because they carry Krishna in their heart with you.
Mm. Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yeah. I experienced that in my recent visit to Mayapur. Yeah.
Yeah, Mayapur, we had a lot of sadhus here.
Yes.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, there is one question from Braj Bihari Prabhu on the chat. He's asking, we understand.
Sri Devi's got her hand up for the last 200 years.
Sure, sure. I was just thinking like maybe just covering one question from everybody in the interest of time first. But yeah, okay, Shridevi Mataji, please go ahead.
Take the hands first, take the chat second. That's how we do it.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, again, I would like to get some clarification on criticism. I understood that when others criticize, the appropriate response is to say, yeah, golly, that's just half of how bad I really am. But what about self-criticism when there is negative self-talk or when we are criticizing ourselves? How should we do that in such a way that it doesn't pull us down, but it actually helps us to correct ourselves and rectify ourselves? The tendency for us is to beat ourselves up for every little mistake we do. How can we avoid that and learn from that experience?
Beating yourself for all the mistakes you do is an indication of false pride. That's all it is. Because you think I'm perfect, but now I made a mistake and it shows I'm not perfect. Yeah, that's why I'm crying because I'm not perfect. Right? Well, so you should, when you make a mistake, you should think, oh, I'm still learning. Therefore, let me see what I need to do to improve. That's all. How to avoid whatever I did and how to adopt the right attitude, the right activity. Yeah. If you beat yourself down, that's another form of pride. Oh, I'm perfect, but look what happened. Yeah.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, this is so true. Yeah. One must see oneself as just a work in progress, someone who is frail, fallible, vulnerable, and therefore dependent, and cry out for the mercy of the devotees and the Lord to improve and change and do better.
Yeah. We want to make progress towards perfection. Rabindranath, come on, you're sleeping. Let's go.
Okay, Maharaj. Another question from Braj Hari Prabhu. Okay. So, Braj Hari Prabhu, you have raised your hand and you have also tapped. So maybe you can just speak directly.
Yeah, I can speak directly.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you, and all glories to all the Vaishnavas. My question is kind of related to the last verse where we discussed about apparent moroseness of Arjuna and Yudhishthir when they learned that Krishna had passed away. We know from scriptures Krishna and living entities are eternal. Then how do we explain this apparent grief, which came upon Arjuna and Yudhishthir when they heard the news of Krishna passing away?
That's normal. That's natural. That's bhakti. They're feeling the separation of the Lord. When they were having the personal association of the Lord, can you imagine? You can't imagine how wonderful that is. But now he's gone, so it feels like all of a sudden your whole life's been turned upside down. So there's a sense of unhappiness that comes, but it's not a lingering unhappiness. It's just a reaction to the situation. Even when we lose someone close to us on this level, there's some unhappiness, some sadness. There's some grieving also, but that's natural. Because relationships bring people very close together. And when that relationship is lost, either on a physical level or, basically on the physical level, then there is some unhappiness, some feeling of loss. That's natural. But then you don't stay there. That's just a reaction to the situation. And you understand that the nature of this world is everything is transient. Everything is moving. The transcendentalists are moving away from the material energy towards the spiritual, and the materialist people are going to hell. Everything is moving in one direction or another. So for Arjuna and Yudhishthira, they're feeling the loss of Krishna's presence. That's all.
Yeah. Guru Maharaj, what you said, intense separation, a feeling which is very natural, which sort of makes sense. Yeah.
In fact, it's transcendental also.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Maharaj, it's 20 minutes over, but there is one question from Mayur Prabhu over the chat. Maybe I can take this as a last question.
You're in charge.
He's asking, thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for the class and for highlighting how Krishna bewilders the atheists by appealing to their atheistic beliefs, but reveals his true self to the devotees, his true form. Also for the importance of navigating the material world and the modes of material nature. How we are impacted by these rather than being them.
Let me see. Somehow I missed something. Can you?
I will repeat this question, Maharaj. Yeah.
Slowly.
Mayur Prabhu, if you are online, if you can just, you were there just few minutes back. Because this question also, I'm also a bit confused in this question. What Prabhu is trying to ask. Okay, I will repeat this question, Maharaj, maybe once again. He's saying, Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for the class and for highlighting how Krishna bewilders the atheists by appealing to their atheistic beliefs, but reveals his true self to the devotee, his true form. Also for the importance of navigating the material world and the modes of material nature, how we are impacted by these rather than being them.
How we are affected by these rather than, what was the last word?
Rather than being them.
How we are affected, how to navigate yourself in through the material world without being affected in them, but still being in them. Yeah, when you're Krishna conscious.
I think Mayur Prabhu has left. Looks like I can't see him in this. So
Yeah, when you're Krishna conscious. Being in the material world, but being in spiritual consciousness, that's all. And then the navigation is you're navigating yourself towards the spiritual by the activities of devotional service. Lord Jesus Christ said, be in the world, but not of the world. Don't be worldly minded. Be spiritual minded.
he is not online.
Yeah, I read that message. Looks like it's not a question. It's just a like kind of input from Mayur Prabhu. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we reached the end. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
Maharaj. I think there is no any other questions or hands raised. So maybe with your permission we can close.
Well, we can close, and thank you very much. And we'll be back tomorrow with the next verse.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much for this enlivening class. Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anant
Jai.
Koti
Jai.
Vaishnav Brind ki jai.
Jai.
Jai. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Jai
Thank
Jai
you, Guru
Maharaj.
Thank you.
Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Guru
Thank
Maharaj.
you so
Hare
much, Guru
Krishna.
Maharaj. Hare
Bhagavat
Krishna.
Pranam. Thank you.